Hi, everybody. It's Gene Simmons, and you're not, and you're listening to the Potter Than Hell podcast with Steve, BC, BB, and Dylan. But you knew that, didn't you?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is your last stop on the crazy train of hard rock and heavy metal. So sit back, buckle in, and hang on. Here we go.
Hello, Potter Than Hellions. Welcome back to Potter Than Hell podcast. This is Wrighty with you this week, and joining me is
BC
and
Chris.
And from Growin Up Rock, we have who? Who do we got there, guys?
Steve and Michael.
And me.
Oh.
If you don't know who I am, hang up and listen to another podcast.
All right.
That would be Sonny Pooni there for those of you who don't know. And we're going to have Richie on the way at some point. He's on his way here, so we'll have him in a couple minutes. How's everybody doing out there? Hope everybody's doing good. We are fresh off Monsters of Rock Cruise. This is going to be our wrap-up. We're going to cover kind of our arrival, pre-party day, and then day 1 and day 2 in Growin Up Rock is going to cover day 3, 4, and 5 on their podcast, which you will be able to hear on Sunday. So let's get into it before we get rocking into the days real quick. BC, how are you? How are you? Are you recovered? Are you recovering? What's up?
I'm good. I mean, knocking wood. I was fine. Just a little tired Sunday, and then Monday I was
fine now.
bouncing around.
He didn't look too fine a couple days ago.
When?
All last week.
I mean, after the ship.
Oh, okay.
Well, how about you, since you got so much to say?
I'm okay. I got the cruise crud, and it's
The crud.
I went to the doctor yesterday, and all good. I'm slowly getting back to where I should be.
Good. Steven, how are you faring, buddy? You and Jen, how are you guys?
Yeah, everybody's fine. Still recovering from loss of sleep. Nothing more than that. Just trying to get back into the swing of things with work. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Sonny, how are you?
I'm ready to go on another 7-day cruise. Let's go.
Who the hell are you talking to?
I am hyped up. This cruise crud crap is a myth. You fucking weaklings. Take some vitamin C and get back to work.
Really? You're talking to me?
Yes.
Whatever.
BC, I'm going to tell you, man, you are an ox. No matter how much you drink, you cannot get FUBAR. You are a fucking ox.
He means you're good. You're a superhero, BC.
Yeah, but I don't drink a third of what I used to.
That's true. I will vouch for that.
I don't.
In the immortal words of BC, FUBAR to you may not be FUBAR to me. There are different levels of FUBAR.
Hey, where's Steven? Where's Steven Michael? Come on.
He's fucking sleeping.
Yeah, Steven.
Where fucking Steven Michael?
Say Sonny's winning the bet.
Hey, Sonny's taking a little bit of a lead right now, but it's early.
Trust me, I've seen BC FUBAR, and he was not FUBAR that night. He was getting close. So we'll talk about that after. But
I was in the neighborhood, but
he was in the neighborhood. And Richie has arrived. Richie, how are you?
I'm here.
All right. So we're talking about the cruise crud. Rich, how are you? Are you crudding it or what?
It's a little foggy here and there, but I don't know. I think it's probably more dehydration than anything.
yeah.
Age.
As far as sick or anything, nah. And I think finally the scratchy throat is from the screaming or whatever it may have been is gone.
Age.
We don't want to know the other part of it. So, all right. No cruise crud for me either. I don't think I've ever gotten it off of any of the cruises that we've been on.
I don't know if it was the first or the second.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy, just a little bit.
Yeah. I'm like Sonny. I'm ready to go for another one. I'm like ready to rock and roll. Although I'm on a little alcohol hiatus for a little bit after this cruise.
You're a quitter.
I'm going to take a breaker. Before we get going into it, we'll do a quick, what are we listening to? And Granza, what are you listening to?
Well, I've been listening to a couple of the bands that I discovered on the boat, the Bites and Massive Wagons. And actually, on the way up here, for some reason, I thought of a band that I used to listen to a long, long time ago, and I was wondering if they were on Apple Music, and they were, and that is Witch Cross. 2 words.
Witch Cross.
Fit for Fight, and it's very, very good. It's from 1984.
Are they a Christian metal band?
I don't believe so.
Isn't there a band called something like that?
Barren Cross.
Somebody's laughing.
Barren
back
Cross?
there. Who's
Barren
laughing?
Cross is
Christian.
Oh, okay. I knew it was something like
I
that.
don't even have to hear Witch Cross to know that that's got Sonny Pooni's name written all over it.
Yeah. That shit is on the 250 list for sure.
It's what?
There's this 250 list of bands that nobody gives a fuck about, and I guarantee you that is on the list.
I want you to check out the first 3 songs from that record and then get back to me, please.
I will, no problem.
Is it new wave of British heavy metal?
Oh, wow. What do they sound like? The name is on the tip of my tongue, but I can't. Give them a spin. First 3 songs. That's all I ask.
Witchcross. All right.
Witchcross.
Sonny, how about you? What are you listening to?
So when I got back on the plane, I dumped all of the Mass and Wagons albums into a playlist and went through every song and made a greatest hits. So there's a Spotify playlist out there that says Massive Wagons, greatest hits. It's probably about 3 hours worth. They got some very interesting stuff, but if you've never given Massive Wagons a chance and you're listening to this, try 3 songs. Cool Like a Fox, Fuck the Haters, and the Ode to Stephen Michael, Asshole.
Sonny, I'm interested to know, what's your hit rate for them?
The hit rate was about 33%.
Yeah,
30?
That sounds about right.
The earlier albums I was less interested in. The later it got, the closer it got to where we are today, the better it got for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're a little more on the heavier side, the earlier stuff.
Yeah.
Steven, how about you?
I am listening to the new Dorothy record that came out while we were on the cruise, and I made some deep dive playlist of Massive Wagons as well, Shiraz Lane, and Pretty Maids, actually. I went through all the records and just took a bunch of songs that I liked off each record and threw them into a playlist, so that's what I've been listening to mostly.
So the Pretty Maids playlist, what was it, 3 songs?
No.
I agree with you, Steven, on that one. BC, what do you got?
I've been listening to the Bites. Really, they really grabbed me on a cruise. And Midnight City, I missed them on the cruise, so I wanted to check them out. Not bad. I look back going, damn it, I should have caught them, but I missed out on those guys.
You don't have to dive deep into the Bites. They got one record.
This is true.
It's not a deep dive.
Nope.
It's not. It's
We're
only
not diving that
you
deep.
dip your toe on the shallow end. Richie, what do you got going, buddy?
I'll keep it real short. Nothing.
Nothing?
Nice.
I have so musiced out that, no. I mean,
Ooh, that's blasphemy.
What, are you driving around in silence?
I don't want to bring it up.
just the normal radio crap. And yeah, like at home, the sounds of silence.
Wow. So Simon and Garfunkel?
No, I really just and still trying to find some lost hours from the week that I
just let it go.
Can't figure out where they are.
All right. And for me, pretty much the same. I listened to all the Massive Wagons four of the Massive Wagons albums on the way back from Miami into Newark, and then I'm sorry BC, I'm sorry BB. I am trying my hardest to get through that Dark Chapel album. I feel like Sonny, it's
bad. It's bad.
It's complete shit. It's not good at all. I don't know. It's like slow motion Black Label Society. I can't get through it. I get 3 songs in and I have to turn it off.
Really?
I didn't think it was as bad as that.
The vocals are fucking horrible.
You gotta look past that.
I'm trying. How the hell do you look past? It's boring. Horrible vocal.
He doesn't have I'm a music guy. I listen to music. I can block out the vocals. Sonny's the other.
I can't do
psychopath.
Sonny
I
listens
can too,
to
but
vocals, blocks out the music.
Not on that. So that's what we got going. Trying some Dark Chapel for me and some Massive Wagons, Bites and Midnight City for BC, some more Bites, Massive Wagons, and Witchcross for Mr. Boo Boo here. Richie's enjoying the Sound of Silence, not the Disturbed version, the actual Sound of Silence. Steve is checking out the new Dorothy album, some Massive Wagons, Shiraz Lane, and Pretty Maids. And Sonny did a deep dive into Massive Wagons. So back from Monsters of Rock, we had a great time travel-wise for us real quick. Myself, BC, and BB. BB is not here tonight. He is out with the cruise crud. three of us went down together, and then it was Richie, Granza, and Mo. Mo is not here. I'm hopefully planning on doing a first timers episode like I did the last time, and get Mo on there and a couple other people that were new people too. I'm trying to work that out to get that done so we can get Mo's point of view and some others on that one. Got down there. Granza, Richie, and BC and Mo, they stayed up by Magic City where the action was. I'm doing air quotes, by the way. And me, Sonny, and BB, we met Steven and Jen down and Richie was with those guys too. And so we just kind of hung out with Steven and Jen the first night and had some good chow, had some good rest. And then that will take us to Sunday, the day of the pre-party. And I'm going to hand it over to Sonny to navigate us through the first couple days here.
All right, so at the pre-party, 5 bands played, and what we're going to do is there's a bunch of us that saw some of these bands, a bunch of us didn't see some of these bands, and there's some bands some of us saw twice, so we're just going to kind of direct traffic here and ask some people about what they saw. And when we got into the pre-party, Soto and Beeler were already going. Boo Boo, what'd you think about Soto, Beeler? You remember any of the songs they did?
I walked in and they were doing the Love is on your whatever sign it is.
Love is on the way.
Love is on the way. The Saigon Kick. Yeah, that's it. From what I heard, I liked them. You know, there's a lot of talent there.
Yeah. Righty, what did you think? Because, that's pretty much their last song, right?
Close to it.
Yeah, because it was Ubers were kind of slow. We had to wait actually for the drawbridge to go over for us to get to the pre-party. So it was okay. I mean, we've seen them a bunch of times before. Always cool to see, but not always my favorite. But they're always entertaining. I think they make a good pair. I think little times they try a little too hard to be funny, but I enjoy it.
So then next was a band called Wild Street, and none of us had seen Wild Street. I want to share my opinions, but I think I'm going to let Steven go first this time. Steven, Wild Street, what did you think?
So Wild Street was one of the newer bands that was added to the cruise, and I wanted to see them because they had the kind of this cool sleazy like image, and I listened to a few of their tunes. It was okay, but I wanted to see it live, so I was kind of excited about it, but then they played, and I was no longer excited about it. So musically, the band is okay, but you got this singer with this bigger than life image, right? He's got makeup on, he's got his hair all crazy, and it's just this bigger than life sleaze image. I kind of expect him to be a ringleader, and to me, he looked like he was just kind of phoning it in. There was nothing special about him. He's not a particularly great singer, but none of those sleaze singers really are. I don't know. I was turned off, and I couldn't get turned back on. And I saw him the rest of the cruise, and I don't want to be mean, but I'm just kind of like, man, needless to say, I didn't need to see him anymore after that. I was done.
So they opened with their song Tennessee Cocaine, and before I got there, I had tried a bunch of songs, and Tennessee Cocaine was my favorite songs of theirs. So they opened with their best song. He went to go hit the high note. He missed. And I'm like, okay, stop. You don't have it today. He did not stop. Kept screaming. The screaming was brutal.
Brutal.
And the energy, and Righty and I were talking about it, it's the first show that most people have ever seen you, right? Especially Monsters of Rock. Nobody knows who the hell you are. You have got to absolutely kill. And we will talk about some bands later that did exactly that, and they missed an opportunity. Even if it's out of your comfort zone and that's not what you normally do, you still got to make an unbelievable first impression, and instead, we got shit. And I just thank you. You saved me the heartache of looking you back up again. But we kept running into this dude for some reason, and I don't know why.
I heard PETA was forming a line outside because they heard cats being murdered inside.
Maybe that's why the ambulance came.
Yeah, maybe. Now, Richie, I know you've been drunk since the Reagan administration, but do you remember Wild Street?
How could you forget that stellar vocalist? To put it in the immortal words of Mr. Pooni, Ba-ru-tol. I was like, please stop. I mean, if he, in his lower register, when he was, if you want to call it singing, talking it through, I was like, okay, it kind of goes with the music. Man, them screams or whatever those were horrid. The shame is, I mean, everyone said, they had the look. You looked at them, you're like, wow, if the audio matches the visual, it's going to be awesome. And the band really wasn't that bad instrumentally. But I share everybody's same opinion. The vocals killed it for me.
Okay, Boo Boo, you want to be the voice of reason here, or do you feel the same?
I feel the same. I just want to add that the bass player was playing the same bass that I play. So I thought the bass sounded good.
Christ.
What's the matter with that? That's you wanted my opinion.
Maybe you're playing the same bass he's playing.
Shush your face.
That's what you want to tie your boat anchor to?
It's a cool bass.
All right, let's go to next was Ted Poley. And Wrighty, I know you love Mr. Ted Poley. What'd you think about Ted Poley?
I'll tell you what, Ted always puts on a great show. If you see him out walking around, stuff like that, he looks like he just, miraculously got up out of the wheelchair. He's got some medical problems and stuff like that. But whatever he does to get up on that stage and perform, I want a couple quarts of it, because I could use some of that shit in the morning sometimes. Always puts on a good show. Ted is always entertaining, and I've never seen a show where he's let me down yet.
Richie, your thoughts on the little kid getting up there? What'd you think about Ted, all that?
I thought that little kid killed it. I was very impressed. As far as the overall Ted show, same thing like Steve said. You don't have to be an ultimate fan of all of his Danger and stuff like that. I like it and stuff. He's a genuine performer. You can see that he's really, really into it and thankful and respectful of the crowd and stuff, and jumps. And like to Steve's point about his jumping around, because we saw him in the airport leaving. Cool. The man can barely stand. He's got like some mild tremors in his arms and legs. Mm-hmm. I'm the same, man. I want to get a couple of cases of shots or whatever, pills or whatever that he takes, because we're all going to need it.
And BC, I know you're a Ted Poley fan. What'd you think?
Oh, yeah. Ted always brings it. God love him. Like we all said here, he's rough. When he gets on that stage, you never know it.
All right. So then after Ted Poley, we had the Cruel Intentions. And I know Steven had high hopes. Steven, what'd you think about the Cruel Intentions?
Well, I'd seen them on previous cruises anyway, so I know exactly what they are. I like the Cruel Intentions. They're basically a punk rock band. They're hardcore punk with rock mixed in, and I like them because if you listen to their music, to me, there's a lot of good hooks and melodies within their music, so they disguise it a little bit with some of that stuff, but I like them. High energy, the crowd loved it, so I'm into the Cruel Intentions. I dug it.
Boo Boo, did you like? It was like reciting like shitty nursery rhymes. It was bad, wasn't it?
It was uneventful because I can barely even remember like paying attention to them, to be honest with you. There was just so much more going on around like us. I think Rob showed up around then, Canada Rob, and then we were getting pictures with Chris Holmes at that point. So it was kind of like it was background music for me. And to be honest with you, if that's the case, it didn't catch me enough to pay attention.
Richie, what does it for me is the minute the singer's got a backward hat on and is doing the, like, instead of playing guitar regular, he's kind of like got it angled and playing on the strings. I'm like, I'm out. This shit's punk. I don't like it.
Listen, coming off of Wild Street, anything was good. So let me tell you, I like them. I did. I've never heard them before. I've heard of them. In between some of my distractions, I paid attention, and I thought they were pretty good.
And then to close up the pre-party, we had this all-star jam. And BC, I wanted to get your take on the all-star jam, but the part that I didn't like about it is they didn't introduce everybody. They only introduced the singer. So like the guitar players were killing it, and I don't even know who the hell they were.
Offered a Little Ozzy?
Little Ozzy, whatever. I saw him at the bar. He said, hey, I'm like, hey, whatever. I didn't even acknowledge the dude.
Whoever the band was, they were great.
Right, but shouldn't we know who they were?
No. And we left not too long after that.
Well, we left before they went off.
Yeah.
Right, because then halfway back, I got a text message that Sebastian came
on, yeah. We missed all that.
Righty, I got to be honest, the little kid was getting on my nerves.
I'll tell you what, when he was out with Ted Poley, when he came out the first time, it was cool. He didn't need to come out again. I got to say that he did the Wizard. Do you guys think he was really playing the harmonica? I do, because it wasn't perfect.
Yes.
And I think he killed it. The harmonica part was great. The band was fucking excellent. But it was exactly what it was. It sounded like a 14-year-old kid singing fucking Black Sabbath, But the music was fantastic. The kids up there jump around and shit. Goddamn, if we were 14 years old, you're doing that in front of all those people, it'd be pumped up too. Kid had a lot of energy, and I give anybody credit that goes up there. And the singer for Wild Street should have at least watched him and how to, get up there and have some fucking energy.
Yeah. All right, so that is a wrap on the pre-party. So then we get into the day that we're going to get on the boat. And I say, let's go to Stephen about the train wreck that it was to get on this fucking boat. Stephen, Cruz, explain what happened.
Good Lord. All right, this is our first year with NCL on the Monsters of Rock cruise in a while because it's been on Royal Caribbean all before. And they herded us like cattle into this waiting area to board the ship, and we were supposed to board at certain times based on your group number. Well, apparently, even before we got to the cruise port, they had a problem with the previous cruise disembarking because the gangway was broken. One of the gangways they used to get passengers off the boat was broken, so that delayed things. Well, when it delayed things, it had a domino effect and delayed everything. From them getting off and from us boarding, because it was a shit show for sure. We sat, we waited. Then they called groups. Then they called groups that were out of line, like groups before other groups were supposed to be called. And it was just a shit show. I mean, we finally got on. And then to make matters worse, a week later when we got back, same thing. The gangway was busted. Norwegian didn't have a chance to fix that shit in a week? Are you kidding me? God dang, Norwegian. Get your shit together. And that was all Norwegian, had nothing to do with Monsters of Rock cruise, just so you're clear on that.
All right, so the plan was everybody would get on the boat, and the concert started at like 1:30. 19 bands played on Monday. And to let the listeners know, none of us went to, and when I talk about none of us, I'm talking about all 7 of us. None of us went to Liliac, Chris Holmes, Stephen Piercy, Sisters Doll, Kurt Deemer, Evic Stewart, Dueling Pianos, Marvin, Hoaxer Gibbs, or The Cruel Intentions. We were pretty much all, well, BC was halfway to FUBAR, but everybody else was out there watching shows. And the first band that played was The Answer. It was windy as hell at Spice H2O. Righty, do you remember the wind whipping, and what'd you think about The Answer?
Yeah, the wind was blowing gale force up there, and they had like 3 people trying to hold that tent down. I was waiting for them to just blow off the ship like a fucking parachute. But I was so disappointed that the sound went out because I think we saw maybe 4 or 5 songs. They were fantastic of what we saw, and I was really enjoying the hell out of those guys, and the sound cut out. And it didn't come back, and the singer tried to get the crowd to sing. It sounded like some kind of Irish folk song or something like that to get the crowd going, that I guess you had to be from Ireland or something to know what it was. But I really enjoyed them. I was super disappointed that we didn't get to see the whole show, and even more disappointed that I didn't get to come back around to them to see the whole second show that they played. But from what I saw, they were great. They could have been a contender for the it band of the cruise, but I just didn't get to see a whole show from those guys. But what I saw was friggin' fantastic, and I gotta hand it to Dylan because he picked one of their songs a couple years ago, one of the playlists we had, and they were great. But it was one of them bands that I just never got back around to, and it seemed like the weather just didn't want me to see them.
Stephen, that Spice H2O venue ended up being not so bad as long as it wasn't windy. But what'd you think about The Answer?
I thought Spice H2O as a whole venue-wise was not too bad. I got used to it fairly quick. Yeah, I'm with Steve Wright on this. I was ready to see The Answer. They were one of my must-see bands, and for the first 4 songs, it was great. I think they had a little bit of problems dialing in the sound, but all that being said, I could really tell what the band was about and what they were trying to do. And for me, it just confirmed when the sound went out like 4 songs in, I said, okay, well, I'm definitely going to go see this band in the Manhattan Room when they played their full show, because I saw enough at Spice 2.0 to sell me on their next performance.
All right. So then for those who've never been on the Monsters of Rock cruise, one of the things that happens is there's 19 bands playing. They start at 1:30, they end somewhere around midnight. So there are bands playing at similar times. There's bands that start 15 minutes in after another band's already started on the other side of the ship. So you got to make some choices. And some of us chose to go to Vandenberg. So Boo Boo, you guys were at Vandenberg in the theater. How did that go?
I was glad that I saw it. It was a good start to the cruise. and it was all Whitesnake stuff. His band was phenomenal. He was phenomenal. And it was like pretty much saying Whitesnake without Coverdale, but the guy that was doing the vocal was spot on. It was a good show. I enjoyed it a lot, actually.
Richie, you were there too. How did Vandenberg go?
Yeah, I had the same experience. The last few opportunities to see Vandenberg, I bailed on because some of them have been like acoustic shows and stuff like that, which I had no interest in. So I got to tell you, the last time I seen Vandenberg was probably with Whitesnake and He's the classic lineup there. Electric show, he played very well, and like Chris said, the singer probably as close to Coverdale as you're going to get. Probably better than Coverdale is now. The guy did a stellar job.
BC, you've seen Vandenberg on Mork before, so any comparison to other times he's been on?
No, this time was so much better. I mean, I don't know. He did all Whitesnake. There was 2 songs that weren't Whitesnake, I believe. But compared to the last time on Mork, where he played pretty much stuff that nobody knew, the crowd was in it. The band was really good. Like these guys said, the vocalist was spot on. Sounded way better than David does probably nowadays. I was pleasantly surprised.
So then the next thing was the sail away. So what happens for the listeners is everybody gets on the pool stage. They take this big picture, blah, blah, blah. And there's usually a sail away band. And this time it was Wigwam. And it was windy as hell. And Steven, do you remember seeing Wigwam? And did you make it through after? I don't think they got through the first song and then they came back a little bit later. Did you stay or did you bounce after the first song?
So they got through 2 songs. I think Wigwam was a perfect kickoff band, a sail away band, because they're kind of over the top. They opened up with a song called "It's Hard to Be a Rock and Roller," and they sounded great. And this was the first time we get to see a band on this brand new pool stage that they had on Mork this year, which is amazing. I mean, far and away the best pool stage that's ever been on any of the Morks that we've been on. I mean, they came out hitting hard and it was great. It sounded great. It looked great. And then the skies opened up 2 songs in and it just poured and we left. I mean, we obviously headed for cover after the 2 songs and they kind of stopped it anyway. And I heard that they came back and finished the show, but we never saw the end of the rest of the show. We were on to the next thing by then.
Righty, I know you went to the pool stage and checked out Wigwam because I think you wanted to check out the pool stage too.
I definitely wanted to check out Wigwam because we saw them. I think we saw them in the theater on one of the cruises, like the last show, and we were way up in the back, and we really were just more bullshitting than watching the band. So I wanted to check them out. I really enjoyed what I saw, and then it started to rain. But let me say about the pool stage. On all the previous Monsters of Rock cruises that we've had, the stage was always set side to side on the boat, and this pool stage was lengthwise of the pool and like going lengthwise with the ship. And that's how all the KISS cruises pool stages were set up. And I was so happy that they had the pool stage set up like that because they had the, I don't know what they call it, the ego stage or whatever that came out into the crowd. And I think it's a much better setup. It's much more conducive to watching a show. You're more, you can fit more people out and then, straight out than to the sides. And I think it was a great setup, way better than the previous Monsters of Rock cruises when was side to side. But unless you were a pool person, because there was no goddamn pool on this ship besides hot tubs. So we didn't give a shit.
There was one small one behind us.
Oh, was there? But not, it was like the kiddie area though.
No, it was small.
Oh, was it? Okay. Well, not a great pool.
Next to the kiddie area.
Okay. So I really loved how they had this one set up.
Richie, you went to go check out Wigwam. What do you think about, they're kind of like glam rock. You into that stuff?
Well, yes. But I will say just for this event here on Monday, I do need to retract the fact that I saw them there. Now that I'm putting things together better, I believe I saw them on Thursday because I don't remember any rainstorm. So
you might have saw them when they came back on later.
That's possible. In the past, they've been on the boat, and this sounds so silly, but the name, I'm like, who the fuck is that? I'm not going to a Wigwam. Wherever I saw them, whenever I saw them, I liked them. I was impressed. I was surprised that I liked them as much as I did.
Well, talking about not remembering much, the next band was Taiketo. The sun had not set yet, and BC was 3/4 to Fubar. BC, do you remember any part of Taiketo at Spice H2O?
Oh, hell yeah. How would he not remember Taiketo? One of the best bands on the ship. Danny Vaughn.
There we go.
He was shot.
That was good. I remember they did the normal, tracks, I would say, that they do live. A little windy, so, that affected the sound a little bit in my book, but they always put on a good show. That's the only thing. The stage was kind of low.
Yeah, I think at that stage it might be a foot higher.
Yeah. Stephen, Danny and the guys, either they got lucky with the weather a little bit or they did a pretty good job of handling the wind.
Oh, to me, it was fantastic because by the time Takedo hit the stage back there at Spice 2.0, the sun was back out and it was setting because it was later in the evening and the wind had died down a little bit. Yes, it was still windy, but it had died down much more than when the Answer was on stage earlier in the day, in my opinion. And to me, they sounded great. I thought they sounded really good. Danny, strong as ever. I love them. Takedo, they were fantastic.
Boo Boo, what'd you think about Taiketo, buddy?
I love him. Danny is probably close to the best voice on the boat, in my opinion. And they're always entertaining. And I thought Johnny D is a good fill-in for that duty replaced on the last cruise. I'm a fan. I can watch them all day, every day.
Okay, then the next show that everybody saw, which everybody that we're talking to was at the show, was the Queensryche Pool Stage show. And Richie, what did you think about Queensryche on the pool stage?
Queensryche kills it anywhere, every time. I've never seen a bad performance. Outdoor show could be a little dicey because you can't control the sound. It was great.
Wrighty, I know you're a Queensryche homer. Did it live up to the hype?
I thought it did. I was actually happy the way that it went because when they first came on, they did the full EP. So I thought they were going to do, because the tour that they just came off of, they were doing the, Legacy Tour, whatever the hell they were calling it. And they were doing the EP, then all of the Warning. So I'm thinking, okay, I don't know how this crowd's going to handle if they do, all of the Warning, because, people want to hear, in the quotations, the hits. But they did the EP, and then after they did The Lady Wears Black, they did NM156 from Rage for Order. But then they got into some of the songs that people were, not the diehard Queensryche fans, but like I Don't Believe in Love, Silent Lucidity. They did Jet City Woman, Empire, Eyes of a Stranger. So they did have a good mix too. And I thought they had a really good mix of stuff between the two shows from Rage for Order 2 that they threw in there. They threw like the rocker ones in there. You can always count on Queensryche to deliver on the Monsters of Rock cruise. And for me, they did again. And they were I want to say there's only 2 songs that they repeated between the 2 sets, and you hardly ever see that for any band on the cruise, and they always bring it through for me.
Yeah, for me, Todd kills it. I'm Queensryche's hit and miss for me, but with Todd singing, I don't usually miss them. Now, they played later on a different night, but they played to the end of the night. I hit a wall, so I went to bed. So this was the only time I saw Queensryche. They opened with Queen of the Reich, which I thought was great. Don't know if you guys noticed, but the Burning Witches singer, she was at the Answer. She was at Wigwam. She was at Takedo. She was at Queensryche. So we started joking. We're like, is she getting pointers? Like, what is she doing? But I guess she's a fan just like everybody else. Oh, she was? Wow. Yeah. So as Queensryche is finishing up on the pool stage, some of us went to the casino and some of us went to go unpack. But Stephen went to Shiraz Lane at the Manhattan room. What did you think about Shiraz Lane, Stephen?
Well, I was worried that Shiraz Lane, originally it was scheduled to conflict with Queensryche, and I wanted to see both those shows, but luckily they did some switching around early in the afternoon. I think Chris Holmes, who was originally scheduled for earlier that day, got put in the Shiraz time slot against Queensryche, so that was an easy decision for me. I just went to Queensryche, and then Shiraz got pushed to later in the evening. So yeah, I went to Shiraz around I think 10:30 or so is when that ended up being in the Manhattan room, and it was great. Shiraz Lane came on, killed it, sounded good, plenty of energy, good crowd participation. I loved it. I have nothing bad to say about that set. It went over really well.
BC, you seem like you found yourself to Shiraz Lane too. Do you remember being in the Manhattan room?
Yes, I do. Where it was after Queensryche till then, a little blurry. But I remember walking in and out, and he caught maybe the last 3 songs, but they sounded real good. So I caught them later on.
All right, so then the next show that some of us were at was Aldo Nova in the theater. And Righty, this was the first time Aldo Nova had been on the boat since we've been going. What did you think about Aldo Nova in the theater?
Yeah, this Aldo Nova was one of the bands that BC and I, we had a couple bands that, they were must-see for us. We've never seen them before. I've been an Aldo Nova fan since Fantasy came out in, 83, I think it was. And I thought he was really good. He kind of sang a little closed mouth, and I think the vocals could have been a little higher. And we were on the one side right by the speakers, so it was in the theater, and the sound wasn't the greatest. I think if maybe we were a little more in the middle, it would have been a little more clear. But he was good. He did a lot of good stuff, and some stuff that I hadn't heard in a long time, like stuff from Twitch and a couple tunes like that. But I enjoyed it. He busted out the talk. Any talk box shit is great for me. I love it. I was glad I saw him, and he didn't disappoint. I knew he wasn't going to get up there and run around the stage and swing his guitar around his torso and everything like that. But he was solid. His band was good. That Jack Frost dude was his rhythm guitar player, and he did some leads too. He's this guy. He could be the guy on that Smiler horror movie that I've never seen, and I'm not busting on, but I've never seen such a large mouth on a human being before that wasn't like CGI or something like that. But and we've seen him in a bunch of different bands. I thought Aldo was good though. I really enjoyed the show.
Stephen, Aldo was one of the ones you were looking forward to seeing too. What'd you think?
I was excited to catch that show. I would have been more excited had the stupid Mort people not held people so long that I had to walk in halfway through Blood on the Bricks, but whatever. I did sit in the middle of the theater. It sounded great to me where I was sitting about midway through center stage, mid theater. I think the same thing that Steve said. So the band is great that's around him, and that Jack Frost guy moves around quite a bit. So Aldo really doesn't have to do a whole lot of moving. He's kind of tied down by the mic stand anyway. But it sounded good, everything, and he played a bunch of the stuff. He pretty much played most of the stuff that I would want to hear. So I was good with it.
So BB and I had to make a choice. So Aldo was playing, we were there. We saw a couple of songs, but then my favorite singer from Steelheart, Millie Matijevich, was playing the Cavern Club, and he was going to do an acoustic show. So we went to the Cavern Club. Now, that club maybe holds 70, 80 people. That place was packed. It had 110, 120 people in it. Anthony Corder was there. I don't know if he was there to get a lesson. Don't have a clue. But, dude, you couldn't breathe in there. You couldn't hear in there. He got started. He couldn't get loud enough to where you could hear him in the back of the club. And then people, just let me rant for a second. If you're going to go to an acoustic show, can you shut the fuck up, please? Like, just shut up. Do your talking some other time or text each other or some shit. I don't care. But yapping as somebody is trying to sing acoustic is just rude. So then he couldn't get loud enough to get over the people who were talking. So then what they did was they turned the delay way up on his acoustic guitar, and then everything was an echo, 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 echo. And every time he sang, that's all. I didn't make it through one song. I left so pissed because I couldn't get to see my favorite singer do an acoustic show because people don't know how to shut the fuck up. So I left. I went back to the casino, and the last thing I was going to do was ruin my night to go see Slaughter. But Slaughter was playing on the pool stage, and both Boo Boo and Richie went. So, Boo Boo, what'd you think about Slaughter at the pool stage?
I'm a Slaughter fan. I thought this was probably the best that I've seen them in a very long time, and for two reasons. And probably the main reason was they didn't jack the sound up so you couldn't hear it. You know what I mean? It wasn't distorted. It was pretty clean. Mark sounded good. The band is fantastic. And it was just a good show. You know, good way to end night one, I guess, right? Weather was nice. Yep. We were all hanging out. It was a fun show for me. I enjoyed it a lot.
Richie, you remember any part of Slaughter? Or are you FUBAR by this point?
Well, I want to touch base on the one comment you had about that Cavern Club, because I didn't mark it on a list there, but I did make my way through there right before Millie was going on.
Me too.
Yeah, for the dueling pianos.
Yeah.
Yeah. That venue has no business being a venue for that's a bar. It's too small, to your point. 70, I think, giving it credit. That place is tight as balls. But in any case, Slaughter, I agree with Chris. They sounded great. I'm a Slaughter fan, obviously. Mark did sound good. I think the thing that aided the fact that it was outside, so the sound had somewhere to go. So even if they did have it jacked up and Mark was trying to hit those, notes and stuff, it didn't resonate off a ceiling and bounce off walls and stuff like that. So there was an excellent choice for them. And yes, I do remember it.
Obviously.
I remember seeing Sonny too.
Casino.
And he said tight as balls. The average age of the people on this podcast, 52. Nobody's got tight balls anymore.
Tight as ass? Well, maybe that's not a good. You know what I'm saying. Don't put a band in the cabin club is what I'm trying to tell you.
All right. So that wraps up day one, righty?
All right, so just to break up our episode, we're going to throw in our gem song. So since the one of the bands we're going to talk about coming up on this next day is going to be the band that BC and I were waiting for on this cruise, that I'm sure you guys could guess who that's going to be, and you're going to hear them right now. So we're going to play, and these guys played this on the on one of their shows too, and we're going to play Little Pretty Maids, and we're going to play Serpentine. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed a little Serpentine there. And Sonny's going to guide us through date number 2 here.
All right. So now we're on Tuesday. 28 bands played this day. There was actually 29 set up. But after everybody waited in line to see Pretty Maids, they actually ended up postponing to the next day. Because most of us didn't either see or we're not going to talk about these bands that played that day, There was still a Bloody Mary, a hangover thing with Joel Hoekstra at the pool stage. We're not going to talk about the Bites or Ches Kane or Tesla, Marvin, Chris Holmes, thank God, Wild Street, never going to talk about them again. Jared James Nichols, Michael Schenker, Rhino Bucket, Ride the Rhino, Dueling Piano, Soto, Beeler, Liliac, or Slaughter, because I think everybody had their fill of Slaughter. But Tuesday, for 4 of us, started out at Cagney's doing a Paul Stanley painting. I thought it was super fun. Boo Boo, what'd you think about painting your idol?
I enjoyed it. The only thing that I really regret is leaving early to try to catch the Pretty Maids that eventually got canceled.
Yes, but Steve cut the line.
Because I wanted to get a picture with Reb, and I never did because I thought I would definitely see him on the rest of the ship, the rest of the cruise, which I did, but I never had the opportunity to stop him and get a pic. But the painting was fun. I enjoyed it.
Righty, we've done this painting thing a couple of times. What'd you think about this one?
Yeah, this was a good one. I think now that we got a couple of these under our belts, we're kind of used to how they're going to roll this out. And, there's always, the homers that it was the Paul Stanley painting that have to do it exact, like, everything like that. I always color outside the lines and do different shading and everything like that. And I also am kind of sad that Chris and I left early so we could get in line for Pretty Maids, and it eventually got canceled, which actually it all worked out for the best. But I just was kind of sad that we didn't get a picture taken with the group. But thank you, Sonny, for taking our paintings and at least getting our paintings in the picture with the group, though. But that's always fun to do. We did Ace last year. We did Paul this year. So I'm going to say they're probably going to go through all 4, maybe. So maybe we can get Gene or Peter next year. And
Gene will be next year.
I'd say Gene will be next for sure. But it's always fun. I enjoy doing it.
Maybe Gene's band will be on next year.
Could be.
All right, Homer, relax.
Whoa.
All right. So while some of us are painting and some of us are sitting in the line to go to Pretty Maids, BC and Richie went to go check out Hurricane in the Manhattan Room. Richie, how was Hurricane?
I was waiting for the last song, as you put it, because that's probably the only one that I was going to know. But being a guitar player, I'm a huge Carlos fan. I liked his tenure, obviously in Quiet Riot and then later years in Rat and stuff. He's my type of guitar player. So I hate to say I was more there for him than I was for the band. I was happy to hear the song I wanted to hear. And then they played your favorite 2 Queens Quiet Riot songs at the end. They did a good job. They sounded good.
BC, you love Hurricane. Did they play anything else you recognized?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a Hurricane fan since they opened up for Stryper back in, I want to say, 87-ish. Yeah, they did stuff from the first album, the second album. I don't believe they did anything from the third album, but and then they did some new album stuff, which it ain't bad, but not Hurricane in my book. Carlos just kills it. I mean, he can come in and he came in and he definitely made a difference to me. Yeah. Nothing against Robert, but I was pleasantly pleased with him. The singer's not bad. I mean, what's his name? The bass player, Carlos's brother, Tony Carlos. He just looks miserable. I don't know. I mean, he's up there. He just played up there the whole time with like a puss on his face, I thought. And I was like, Jesus Christ, man. Sure.
You're on a cruise.
You're on a cruise, goddammit. But overall, good.
So then next, everybody, not knowing what they were getting into, went to the pool stage to go see Massive Wagons. And I guess we'll let Steven start. Steven, what did you see on the pool stage with Massive Wagons?
A wrecking ball coming. That's what I saw. God damn. All right, so I've talked about it before. To me, you can like a band's music somewhat, but until you see the band live, sometimes it doesn't connect all the dots. So, you can either see a band live and you don't know the music, and that's pretty cool, or you can know some of the music and not see a band live. But when you know some of the music and you sort of like it, but then you see the band live, it marries the two together. And that's exactly what happened for me personally in Massive Wagons. I had gone through the catalog. I liked some of the stuff. I didn't love everything. But then when I went and saw it live, I talked to some people from the UK who had come over to jump on Mork and see the band, they said, man, don't miss Massive Wagons. And this was before they played the first show on the pool deck. They said, it's just a good time. It's a fun time. And that's exactly what it was. I mean, it was just a ball of energy, and it was so much fun, and the crowd was into it, and the weather conditions were perfect, and it was out in the sunshine, but it wasn't too hot, and it was that beautiful pool stage. I had a great time at Massive Wagons with everybody, with all you guys, and with that band. It was just nonstop fun for me. I was sold.
Boo Boo, I know you can be a pretty much meat and potatoes guy, and here's something you haven't seen before. What'd you think?
It's funny because I absolutely knew nothing about them, never heard of them. I just saw them on the mat, And then Wrighty sent out the playlist, and I was listening to it while I was driving for work, and I was listening to those songs, and I texted Steve. I'm like, I think I want to check these guys out because I'm starting to like it. And it was like the planets aligning when I saw them because it was the band was great. The vocalist is incredible. He doesn't stop for 1 minute. Seemed like the crowd was getting into it. We all were getting into it. And it's one of those bands where you discover on the cruise, and I'll never miss another show if they're ever back on Mork.
All right, Righty, say your piece about Massive Wagons.
Number one, my main thing that I loved about it is that BB loved them because he was not wanting to see them, hated them, didn't want anything to do with them, and he loved them. But for me, that is how you play your first show on Monsters of Rock, anything. They killed. You watch any guy in that band, and they all look like they were having the time of their lives up there. The front man, Barry Mills, his name is, and Chris was right. He does not stop. For me, he's the best front man that I've seen on that ship since Eric Grunwald. I thought that he engaged everybody, and if there was one dude like not rocking out, he would make them rock out. I love it in a lot of the songs. All the songs I think translated fantastic. They played "Fuck the Haters." The asshole song they did was great. We were all pointing at Sonny for that one.
I didn't want to bring it up,
but it was a fun show, and I'm glad that we were all there together, just experiencing it together. And that was one of the best parts of it for me as well.
All right, and then most of us ended up at Spice H2O afterwards to see the Iron Maidens. And let's start with Richie. Richie being a musician and obviously being in some of these cover bands or tribute bands or whatever you want to call it. You think the Iron Maidens do a good job, and did you think they were okay that day?
Yes. All the players in that band bring it to a very high level. It's hard on some, back to those outdoor shows. Sometimes it helps you, sometimes it hurts you. That show was good. I think we watched them from up on top by the golf course, all the way up there. So the sound wasn't really super stellar. I've never really seen a bad Iron Maidens show. They do a really good job.
BC, well, it's only I think 11 o'clock in the morning, so you ain't FUBAR yet. How'd you think Iron Maidens played?
I thought they were good. I mean, I've seen them a few times in the past, and like Richie said, being outdoors, you hit or miss with the sound, but they're always energetic. They're always fun.
So then a bunch of us made it. Well, actually, all of us made it to the pool stage again to see Eclipse. And Boo Boo, I know you can be a pain in the ass with some of these newer bands. What'd you think about Eclipse?
You already know what I'm going to say about Eclipse. You know, that was my favorite band on the cruise. I've been a fan. Discovered them on Mork a couple of years ago, and I don't think I missed a Mork show that they were on. I thought they were fantastic. I even left the Iron Maidens early so I can get up to that, right up to the stage, right in front of Victor for this show. And I thought they were fantastic, as always. They bring it 100% all the time.
Steven, one of the things that Eclipse can do is they don't care if they play a bunch of new songs because they don't have a hit in 1985 that they absolutely have to play. So they played a lot of new stuff.
They did. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I mean, I always enjoy Eclipse pretty much. And I was happy that they got a chance to play the pool stage because they got that big old stage and they took advantage of the ego ramp and everything else. And they sounded good because the last experience that we had with Eclipse on the pool stage was so bad. I ended up literally walking away from it, which is saying a lot for me to walk away from Eclipse on a pool stage on a Monsters of Rock cruise. But there were major sound issues at that last Monsters of Rock cruise when Eclipse played. And this time, not so bad. Everything seemed to be in the right place. But it seems like almost impossible to get Eclipse there with the full band. There's I don't know what the problem is with Philip, but he's missed a couple of cruises, and damned if he wasn't in Los Angeles for the whiskey show 2 or 3 days after the cruise. So I don't know what the problem is.
Maybe he's afraid of water.
Maybe. I will say that, I took some shots at Cruel Intentions earlier because I didn't enjoy their set. But Ronnie, the drummer, filled in for Philip with Eclipse. Ronnie did a bang-up job. Right? For probably, who knows how much he got to practice, who knows how many of the songs he knew, but I thought he did a bang-up job. So great job, Ronnie, if you're listening. That's great. All right, so then some of us made it to Rare here at the Atrium, and I know Richie wants to talk about Monica, so let's get it the fuck out of the way. Richie, talk about Monica for the next half hour.
Go
I have no idea what you're talking about.
All of a sudden, Richie's turning red.
Yep. I thought it was a good show.
He is turning red.
He'd be red.
It's all good. Keep in mind, Rare Hair is more than Monica, okay? There's a whole rotation of musicians through the band. They change out drummers, they change out keyboards, guitar players, bass vocalists, everything like that. So I had never seen them. I think they were on other Morks before, and I'm just like, I don't need to see other cover renditions and stuff. But this was supposed to be a pop goes metal type thing, or vice versa. So that plus meeting Monica the first day or the first night when me and BC were up until 4 a.m. at that bar in Miami.
And woke everybody else up in the hotel.
No, we didn't. Back. So I just thought it was the right thing to do to go and check it out. So it was good. I enjoyed it.
BC, you made it to Rare Hair. What'd you think?
He doesn't remember.
He's looking like I was.
That was after the Iron Maiden show, so I remember that.
I don't remember that.
BC's checking out on that one.
He's in the picture, I swear to God.
So then I'll go to Righty next. And Righty, you also got to answer a question for me. This Rare Hair stuff's supposed to have superstar players and blah, blah, blah. So what the fuck is Chad Stewart and Vanderhool doing there?
I enjoyed it. We didn't stay for the whole thing because I think we left there to go to see the Iron Maidens. I don't know. I don't remember that part's kind of fuzzy for me too, but I do remember being there. I enjoyed it because I remember Richie's girl did "Don't You Want Me" from.
She did "Walk Like an Egyptian." Our Lips Are Sealed, and one more that escapes my mind.
That one, "Don't You Want Me." That was the one.
Don't you want me? Yeah, then she did 3. Yeah.
I enjoyed what I saw. I think it's cool because I've seen it before a couple times on the pool stage, earlier cruises. It's always fun. But yeah, I agree, Sonny. It wasn't an actual superstar lineup playing on there, but
the drummer from Y&T was one of the drummers.
That's one.
He's not a superstar.
Yeah.
I was late for that.
Yeah, so it was good. I mean, it wasn't great. Yeah, so I'm not sure if that was before or after Iron Maidens because
it was after on that day.
Okay, yeah, because I had the hat on.
Yeah, I had the hat on.
I had the hat on.
That was after the Maidens because the sun was up for that, and this was I think later in the day.
Yeah. All right, so then some of us went to the pool stage to see Michael Monroe, and I will start by saying waste of fucking time. I should have went and did something else. I've never seen anybody apply makeup as they are playing on stage. That is fucking ridiculous. He was boring. Todd Kearns, I love you, but that was shit. Now, Boo Boo, you can say the other side.
It was exactly what I expected.
Shit.
I enjoyed it. I don't know much of his catalog, believe me, but the guy's, he's a living icon. And he came out, ball of fire. The guy does not stop he doesn't stop moving for his age. He's multi-talented, and he had the crowd going. And that's exactly what you look for. He was very entertaining, in my opinion.
I thought it seemed forced.
I thought so, too.
No. Well, you guys are delusional.
I just thought it seemed forced, but...
Whatever.
It was...
Talk to Dave. They don't know what's going on.
I heard it.
Steven, can you be the voice of reason, or are you going to let me down here?
You're going to pick him?
I'm going to let you down because I actually side with Boo Boo on this.
Oh,
Thank you.
Lord.
Appreciate it.
I don't know a ton of his catalog either, but he did open up with Dead Jail, Rock and Roll, whatever that song is. I like it a lot. He opened up with that. Like Boo Boo said, he was super entertaining. He was a ball of fire. I mean, he never stopped moving. And for somebody that age, I mean, super limber. The one thing that did bother me, and this bothered me a lot, is that he had a microphone that was wired, right? Not a wireless mic. And I understand why he had it, because he's one of those old school singers that kind of uses it, swings it around, does all this kind of stuff. But it kept getting in the way, and he wouldn't stop messing with it like the entire time. And it became distracting and taking away from him. So I hated that part of it. Like if he had a wireless mic, to me, it would have been 1,000 times better, because then he could have just been, him and running all around all over the place and jumping off risers and doing whatever it is that he does. But I thought it was entertaining. He is who he is, and the crowd loved it. I saw many people post how that was their show this year, and how he didn't disappoint. So I'm glad I saw it.
Yuck. All right. So after Michael Monroe gets done, some of us went to the casino. Some of us went to go find a bar. Boo Boo went to go see Midnight City. Boo Boo, how was Midnight City?
Good. It was very throwback 80-ish, I guess. Total glam show. Something you would definitely see on MTV. They were okay. The songs aren't the greatest. I only stayed probably about half the show. Checked them out, and from what I saw, I liked. I don't know if I need to go back again. Maybe if they were on the pool stage or that other Manhattan Club thing, it might be a different story. But it was okay. There was a lot of people there that really knew the material.
All right. Then a little bit later, most of us made it to the theater to go see Winger. BC, what'd you think about Winger, even though they had a new guitar player on stage?
They kill it. I don't think I've ever gone to a show from way back in the 80s to now that they don't tear it up. Red Beach, phenomenal guitar player. He even kept held his own throughout the years. It was weird seeing the new guy up there. It was like, kept catching you off guard, but killer show. They never let down, and apparently they're down to their last shows, I guess. Unfortunately, but hey, you've been doing it that long, what the hell?
Yeah. Steven, what'd you think about, we've seen Winger a ton on these ships. What'd you think about the theater show?
Yeah, it's great. I kind of knew that this was supposedly going to be some of their last shows. They already announced their final tour in Europe, and I know that they're kind of coming to the end because some of them are just tired of doing the Winger thing and want to move on. The new guitar player is kind of like the old guitar player part 2, right? Howie Simon, he's been doing shows with Winger whenever John Roth can't play. So, and to me, it doesn't drop off any because Howie's a crazy good guitar player too. So the musicianship in that band is just, it's stupid. Every time I see that band live, I don't know why, but I'm just like in awe of the musicianship in that band. I love the music. I love the songs, but I keep coming back to the crazy musicianship that band is all about. So I loved it. I thought they sounded great. I thought it was a good show.
So then some of us made it to the pool stage, and then some of us were sorry that we ended up there to see Lynch Mob. So Richie, don't let me down. What'd you think about Lynch Mob?
So in full disclosure, I really don't remember a lot. I know I was there. I know I saw it. I was mildly distracted by things going on around me. I think that probably I know a lot of people are beaten on. They say, oh, George sucked. I don't know if George sucked. The performance, I don't think was great. I think Gabriel is really bad at being a front man and working the crowd or anything like that. And the sheer fact that I don't really remember a lot and that I was distracted, normally I would be pushing the distraction aside to pay attention. So I guess that pretty much paints the picture that they were not the greatest.
Yeah, so for me, Gabriel did not use the catwalk well. There really wasn't any energy, except for Jaron, really. I don't know why George even had a microphone. All of a sudden, he's a singer? Like, when did that happen? Now, I'll tell you something that I liked, though, and I don't know if people noticed it. Jaron was dressed in red. Gabriel was in white. George was in green. So they were trying to do something on stage to be different, but the vocals weren't great. The energy wasn't great. And George literally looked like he was having a stroke every time he was playing. So I'm done with Lynch Mob. Lynch Mob's done anyway. Wrighty, did you see something I didn't see? Because I was not impressed.
I don't know if you can use the term mailed it in for George. We saw him at Penn's Peak like last year. He was in between being on and not. But this one, he seemed like he just has that switch that like he doesn't want to. face the crowd when he's playing. I wasn't there. We left about halfway through. I had seen and I've said from the beginning, the first time I saw this guy, this front man, I'm not impressed with him at all. I mean, I know he's a young guy, but like, it doesn't seem like he's learned anything since the first time I saw him up until now.
It's a shame because vocally he does a good job.
Vocally he's really good, but he's
it's disappointing.
He's just a singer. He's not a front man. I think George and you can see it. I think he's just done.
And then the last band we're going to talk about for this day 2 is The Answer in the Manhattan Room, and the only one who made it there was Steven. So, Steven, how was The Answer in Manhattan?
Goddamn, I was the only smart one out of this bunch on this particular night because I saw Lynch Mob last year and I was done with Lynch Mob then. I've had it with Lynch Mob. I've seen Lynch Mob on Mork maybe 5 times, and out of that 5 times, maybe once has been good. The other times have been shit. So I was done with them last year. I decided I was going to go see The Answer. This was the last Answer show on the boat because they played that first day, and I'm super happy I did because they sounded great on this night, and it was like a Irish blues revival. I mean, that singer Cormac, he can belt it out, and I absolutely loved it. They sounded fantastic, and he was going like a Irish medicine man. I don't know. He had the crowd going. It was fantastic. That's all I can say. I'm super happy I saw it. It was one of the better shows I saw. Just really, really good. The Answer. Check them out. Do a deep dive on them if you're not familiar with them because they are fantastic.
And that is a wrap on day 2. Back to you, Wrighty.
Okay, yeah, we had a great time. Actually, no problems for any of us getting there travel-wise. We had in the pre-party, I do have to say about the pre-party that for me, the only really stellar pre-party that we've been to was like when like a band like Y&T plays, where that first year we were all just kind of gathered, just like, holy fuck, just rocking out. We haven't had that lately because the lineup hasn't been conducive to that. But I always like the pre-party because it's when we all get together. We see Canada Rob and we see people that we haven't seen in a while, and it's just pretty much like the meet and greet for us at the beginning of the cruise, and I really like that aspect of it. And like Richie said, that during Cruel Intentions, we were all just kind of bullshitting when those guys were playing and everything, so it really wasn't a big we didn't need to go up front to see those guys. Like when a band like Y&T plays, we need to go up front to see them play. So, great first couple of days there. Like it was alluded to, we had a little rain and stuff on the first day of the cruise, which is kind of seemed like that's how it's been going for the last couple. But it wasn't a total washout, which was great. Excellent first couple of days. And before we sign off for this one and let Growin Up Rock take over for their episode, I did a quick thing here. I wanted everybody to give me an MVP band. Pick a front man, a bass player, a drummer, a guitar player, or guitar players. And for me, I did on vocals. For the front man, I had to do Barry Mills from Massive Wagons. Absolutely fantastic. My bass player is Wanda from the Iron Maidens. She's got to play all that Steve Harris shit. She's fucking excellent. I did dual guitar players. I did Mark Ferrari from Cold Sweat, and I did Brad Gillis from Night Ranger. And my drummer is going to be Casey from Queensryche. So, who do you got, BC?
I agree with you on the vocalist, the Massive Wagons guy. He was fucking those kicks and shit, and he was over the fucking place. I mean, very entertaining. Bass player. I'm gonna go with that Aldo Nova bass player. He had a distinctive bass sound to it. It really caught me. The drummer, I heard Sonny say the name. The guy that filled in with the Eclipse from Cruel Intentions. I thought when he was with the Eclipse, he fit in perfect with them, filled in, and he didn't miss a beat. Fucking Carlos, man, the guitar player. You got
All right.
Carlos.
All right. Sonny, what do you got?
All right, so, I'm looking at this band, and it's a pretty band, except for the drummer, so I guess I picked a pretty band. So I'm going to go with Danny Vaughn on vocals. The guy's vocals are amazing at the age he's at, and something about his style just kind of soars. Guitar player, come on, got to pick Nuno. I'm also going to pick Britt because we'll talk about Vixen on Growin Up Rock, but Britt killed it. I'm going to take Todd Kearns as my bass player, and I'm going to take Rod Morgenstein as my drummer.
All right. Richie.
I slacked major and did not really put any mind to this because I kind of didn't realize this all was coming to fruition today.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you got?
Well, my bass player is going to be Mr. Jack Blades. Singer is going to be Danny Vaughn. Guitar player, I'm going to pick two because they're my two top guitar players, Carlos and Reb. And my drummer is Blas.
All right. Steven.
I put together an interesting band where most everybody sings, so I was kind of excited about that. So on vocals, I pick Cormac Neeson from The Answer. On guitar, I picked Jared James Nichols. And then on my second guitar, I picked Nuno because it's Nuno. What the fuck? For bass, I picked Kip Winger. And for drums, I picked Blas Elias.
All right. I think we got everybody right. Oh, let me give you BB's. He has Barry Mills from Massive Wagon singing. He has Julia Lang from Vixen on bass, Jimmy Deanda from Lynch Mob on drums. He's got Nuno from Extreme and Caleb Rappaport from Nerd Halen as his guitar player. So that's our Hotter Than Hell version of the Monsters of Rock cruise. That's our like I said, our first day pre-party, day 1 and day 2. And part 2 of this episode, the second part of the cruise, will be on Growin Up Rock, which will be on Monday. So check that out. And thank you guys for coming. I appreciate you guys coming here. I know we had a long week on the ship. And thank you, Stephen and Sonny, for taking care of technical stuff first this week and giving Dylan the week off. Really appreciate that. So hope everybody out there enjoyed it. And we got much more to talk about on Growin Up Rock, so we're going to get on out of here. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other. We will see you next time, and there definitely will be a next time.